This next question I thought was so funny, but I understand where you're coming from. The question is, are you married? That was one whole soliloquy to answer that one question. Okay, moving right along. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my Q&A in celebration of hitting 50,000 subscribers, which is just mind-blowing to me. I meant to film this video a little bit sooner, and then I had a bunch of other ideas that I wanted to get up before then, and so now it is January 11th. I reached 50,000 subscribers, I think mid-December, and now I am at 54,000, which is just mind-blowing to me. There's not a day that goes by that I am not incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. If you are new to my channel, if you have been here for a really long time, I love each and every one of you so much, and I appreciate you guys so much because you make me able to do my dream job of being a freelance illustrator and content creator and writer, and your support just means literally everything to me. I could not do what I do without your support, so thank you so much. And I thought what would be fun and nice is to have you guys ask me some questions, some bookish questions, maybe some personal questions just about me, so that you guys can get to know me a little bit better if you are newer to my channel, or even if you've been here for a little bit of time, maybe you'll learn something about me of interest. I don't know, I feel weird just like talking about myself for one whole video, but there are some bookish questions, and yeah, I thought maybe this would be fun or interesting, I don't know. I'm just going to be sitting here chatting, so if you guys want to put this on in the background if you're doing something. I was thinking about possibly multitasking and drawing while I answer questions, but I am not the best multitasker. And I just figured it would be nice to take a little break from what I was doing, which was writing, to answer some of these questions. And the first question is about writing. So the first question, which I have on my computer, so I'm going to be looking at my computer as well, is how is your writing project going? Thank you so much for asking. So if you guys don't know, more than a year ago, about a year ago, I posted a video talking about my dream to write a book and the fact that I started writing a book. And I haven't been giving too many updates since then because that book has changed so many times. So the story idea that I had initially is not at all like the story that I am working on right now. And the story idea that I'm working on right now is really the story that I've been trying to tell all along. I had this one idea and this one message that I want to portray, and that has been the main message in all of these stories, but I've been trying to tell them using different characters, using different plots, and I've been trying to figure out which one is the right one. It's kind of like trying to find your soulmate, I guess. Like, you have to meet a bunch of different people to realize what you like and what you don't like, and go through friendships and say, I like this in a friend, but I don't like that in a friend, and then you finally hit on that one person that you are meant to be with, or that one friend that you completely click with, and then it's just happily ever after. So I have finally, I think, hit on my happily ever after, and I am really excited about it. The story that I am writing right now, I just think it's the story that I'm really meant to tell. Every part of my soul is really into this story, and I'm just very happy with it. I'm really at the very beginning stages of the writing process again, and there's a long road ahead, but it's a road that I am thrilled to be going down because I get so much enjoyment and passion out of writing and illustrating. The illustrations I've done for my current story, I'm really happy with. I'm just feeling very good with where I am right now. Thank God, because for the past year I have just been asking myself, am I good enough? Is this the right story? What am I trying to tell? Like, this is going to be my debut story. It has to be right. It has to be the story that I am meant to give to the world. And because I have so many amazing inspirations and influences, and I admire so many incredibly talented writers and illustrators, I sort of am putting myself up against these greats, these masters, these talented creatives, and unfortunately kind of comparing myself to them, which I feel like is a good thing and also a bad thing. I think it's good to have inspiration, and it's good to have that encouragement of you see what they're doing and you want to do something like that, it's a good thing. But it's also a bad thing at the same time, because I feel like, will I ever be as good enough as them? But I think that's just questions that every creative person and every person in general asks themselves. So right now, do I think I'm as good as Brian Selznick and Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell and Katie Camillo and Frederick Bachman? Do I think I am the next great? No. No, I don't. But I think that's a good thing. And I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to be myself, and I'm just trying to tell my story. So, yes. Anyway, a very rambled response to how is my writing project going. It's going very well. It's gone through many changes, but right now I am extremely happy with it, and I will keep you guys updated as I go through this process. My next question is, how many hours does it take to film and edit your videos? It really depends on the kind of video that I am filming and editing. Vlogs take a really long time because they are over a longer span of time. Regular sit-down videos like this usually don't take very long. If it's a video that I have to prep for, it takes longer because I'm prepping for it. I'll write information down that I want to reference, but editing can take an extremely long amount of time. And so can filming. Sometimes I'll sit down to talk and I'll have 2 hours of raw footage that I have to break down into 30 minutes. And I just think to myself, Carolyn, please shut up. Do yourself a favor, do your editing self a favor and shut up. So it really depends on the kind of video. And then the next question is, if you had the chance to read one of your favorite classics for the first time again, which would it be and why? Oh, and they said, and why is it Wuthering Heights? I do love Wuthering Heights, but I don't think that is my favorite classic, and I don't think that that would be the classic that I would want to reread for the first time. It's a tie between my two favorite classics, which are Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy and The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. But I think it would probably be The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry because it is just, I think, the most incredible book ever written, and to be able to experience that over again and have those aha, amazing, weeping emotions all over again would be so wonderful. The next question is, what is your favorite dessert? My favorite dessert is any kind of cookie. I love cookies so much. I really love gingerbread cookies. My friend and I make amazing oatmeal cranberry cookies. Chocolate chips. You cannot go wrong with a chocolate chip cookie. It doesn't take much to make me happy. Just give me a chocolate chip cookie and I will be very satisfied. The next two questions kind of go hand in hand. So the first one is, did you want to be an illustrator when you were a kid? Yes, absolutely. And the next question is, when did you start drawing? I started drawing the second I could hold a pencil. There are so many home videos that my parents filmed of me sitting at my kitchen table, sitting on the floor. There's one that I think is so funny where I'm sitting at my kitchen table. I am shirtless. Why do I not have a shirt on? I was like 3 years old. I don't know. I had my curly blonde hair and I was painting. And I dipped my paintbrush into the wrong color and you could see the concerned look on my face, but I kept painting anyway. And it's so funny because you could see my personality in me at the age of 3. The artist that I was then is very much the artist that I am today. And yes, so ever since I could hold a pencil, I have been drawing. I don't remember ever not drawing, and it's just who I am. The next question is, do you ever have a period, months or years when you aren't drawing or you weren't drawing or illustrating? Yes, I would give myself some breaks because I went to university for art and illustration. I went to an art school. I would be drawing and painting all day, every day, and it was a lot, but that's just being an art student. And so whenever we had vacations or holiday breaks, I would always give myself that time off to not really draw or illustrate because that was my everyday. I do still draw and illustrate every day today. But it's a bit different because since I am an entrepreneur, I do quite a lot of different things. Parts of my day are broken up for filming and editing, for maybe working on my Etsy shop, maybe answering emails or comments on YouTube, or writing or reading. So my day is really broken up into all of my favorite things, all of my favorite things that are different, whereas when I was in school, it was just constant illustrating, illustrating, illustrating. So I would give myself breaks when I had breaks, like holiday breaks and things like that. The next question is, did you love reading in middle school and high school? To be completely honest, I didn't love reading in middle school, but then I started to really love it in high school. So when I was younger, in elementary and middle school, I was told that I wasn't reading up to my grade level, basically meaning that all the other students read faster than I did and I needed extra help. They even asked my parents in, and my parents talked to my teachers and they said that Carolyn's not reading up to her grade level, you need to read more with her, you need to make sure that she's working on her reading and writing. And that really got it into my head that I wasn't good enough and I wasn't smart enough. And that is such a shame, but it was also such a blessing because through that, I tried to do the best that I could with reading, and I tried to read as much as I could, and I tried to work on my writing, and even though I felt like I wasn't good enough and I had to go to these extra classes to help me with my reading and writing, it pushed me to be as good as the other kids and be the best reader and writer that I could be, and it made me who I am today. And so even though at the time I was really discouraged and I thought I wasn't smart enough, it made me who I am today. And so I will always appreciate the fact that I was a slower reader, because now reading and writing is literally my job. How amazing is that? Whenever my parents think about this, or whenever I read my writing to my parents, they always say, I wish your elementary and middle school teachers could see you now, because they would always just say that Carolyn would get there in her own time. That's always what my dad would say, that Carolyn will get there in her own time and everyone learns at their own speed. And my dad was right, and my mom was right, because my mom would say the same thing. And I'm very grateful to my parents for always encouraging me to read and to work on my writing, and for encouraging me and supporting me in all of my creative endeavors. So thanks, Mom and Dad. The next question I found really interesting, and it was, do you think there are things that people might misunderstand about you? And if so, what are they? I don't always feel misunderstood. I feel quite understood by most people, but something that I found quite interesting recently was that my whole family thinks I'm really quiet. And I guess I am. I can understand that, but I guess because my brain is not quiet, my brain never shuts up. So to myself, I am not quiet because I am often coming up with ideas and I'm always in my head and I'm always thinking and I'm always, I don't know, I just don't see myself as quiet. But on the outside, if you're not in my head, I am quiet, which is a newfound realization for me. Even though there's a lot going on inside, on the outside, you can't see that. So my family always calls me Quiet Carolyn. Or Quiet Little Carolyn. There's always the little in there because ever since I was small, I've been very petite. So it's always Quiet Little Carolyn. My Aunt B, who watches my videos and supports my channel so much and supports everything that I do, and I love you very much, Aunt B, I forgot, I think it was Christmas or something, but she said Quiet Little Carolyn recently, and I just laughed in my head. I don't think it's a misunderstanding, I just think it's something that I didn't realize people thought about me. Also the other day, my Uncle John, who also watches some of my videos, hello Uncle John, thank you so much for also supporting my videos. The other day they were over for dinner and everybody was talking. My family is very loud. We're all Italian, we're all very loud, and I am quiet compared to them. My sister is also very loud and very extroverted, and I am quiet and introverted. And my uncle at one point asked me, Carolyn, are you all right? You've been a little quiet. And I just said to him, I can't get a word in. It's hard to get a word in with you people. So yes, compared to my family, I am quiet, but my brain is not quiet. That is what I have gathered. So is that a misunderstanding? I don't know. Oh, another thing that I wrote down, because I did put little notes with these questions. My friend Brian the other day, he was talking to me about my YouTube videos and he was giving me suggestions, which I appreciate so much, and I love when my friends care about these kinds of things, and he was talking about YouTube videos with me, and he was talking about maybe making some short form videos or some shorter videos, and he said, you know, your soliloquies are so great, but maybe like cutting it down a little bit. And I just thought it was so funny that he was calling them my soliloquies, because I call them my rambles, but I feel like soliloquies makes it sound so much more fancy, and I love it. So from now on, I will be calling my rambles my soliloquies. So yes, that was one whole soliloquy to answer that one question. Okay, moving right along. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only bring 5 books and 5 movies with you, what would they be? Okay, the 5 books I would bring are Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, A Man Called Uwe by Frederick Bachmann, The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick, and Mary Oliver's Devotions. The 5 movies would be Never Let Me Go, You've Got Mail, The War and Peace miniseries, it's not a movie, I'm gonna count it anyway, Regarding Henry, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and no one knows about it. It is starring Harrison Ford and Annette Bening, and it is one of the best movies I have ever seen. No one talks about it. Regarding Henry. Please watch it. Part of me wants to keep it to myself because it just feels really special. Like, I like the fact that not a lot of people know about it, but I also want other people to love it as well. So I'm telling you about it. Regarding Henry, if you get a chance to watch it, please, 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 please watch it. And then the 5th movie is Dead Poets Society. The next question is, what made you love reading? What made me fall in love with reading was discovering escapism. I loved being able to escape into these wonderful worlds and meet all these wonderful characters and create such deep connections to the characters, the settings, and the authors who wrote them. And that really is what just completely blew me away about storytelling, being able to transport yourself into the story. Yes, escapism is a beautiful thing. Okay, the next question is 5 random facts about myself. The first random fact about myself is that I'm quite good at cutting hair. I'm quite good at doing makeup. And I have done a lot of hair and makeup for people for special occasions, like proms and graduations and weddings. I actually did my own hair and makeup for my sister's wedding. My next fun fact is that when I was a little kid, I used to wake up every morning at the foot of my bed. So during the night, and I never remembered how I did it, during the night I would just completely flip-flop. So I would go to bed with my head on the pillow and my feet at the end of my bed, but then I would wake up with my head at the end of my bed and my feet by my pillow. But I never remembered how I got there. Very weird. And then the next fun fact is that growing up, I would beg and plead for any kind of animal that you could reasonably have as a pet. So we had fish, we had frogs, I had a tortoise, I had a mouse, Amanda. Should I tell you their names? I don't remember the frogs' names actually, which is so sad. The fish, I had like a billion fish. I don't remember the fishes' names. Fish. My tortoise was named Prince, but now he has a new home and his name is Teddy. And then I had a mouse named Amanda. I had a bird named Buddy. I had a dog named Mia. Now I have another dog named Willow. I think that's it. And another fun fact, I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was younger. That's probably because I grew up surrounded by water, because I live on an island and we always have bays and lakes and the ocean, and we would always go to the beach. I was always around sea life, and I loved snails and fish, and I used to take my fish net to the beach all the time, and I would collect all the minnows and I would put them in my little pail and I would just stare at them. And my sister was terrified of horseshoe crabs, and I loved horseshoe crabs. I thought they were so cool, and I would pick up the like little sand crabs and I would hold them in my hands. I still do. I still would love to be a marine biologist. I just really don't have the biology brain for that side of it. I would love to take care of animals. Anyway, I'm getting me and my soliloquies. Okay, move along. I think this is the last one. My whole family loves the movie My Cousin Vinny, And another fun fact, I actually have a cousin, Vincenzo, who we call Vinny. So I do have a cousin Vinny. Anyway, there's one scene in the movie, My Cousin Vinny, and it begins with, "Imagine you're a deer." And it's one of these iconic scenes in the film. It's Marissa Tomei basically talking about going hunting for deer and how it's so horrible. My sister and I and my cousins all memorized this very long scene in the movie, and I still remember every word of it to this day. And this was years ago. And I even have her like Brooklyn accent down to a T. It's amazing. I'm not going to do it because that would just be embarrassing to put on the internet, but yes, another fun fact. The next question is, what is a hobby you'd like to try? I have always been interested in kickboxing. I've never done kickboxing before. My cousins had a punching bag when we were younger. I used to love putting on the gloves and punching the bag. But I feel like kickboxing would be such a great way to stay active and to really just get your emotions out. I'm not a very aggressive person. I feel like that's quite obvious. But I feel like everyone has pent up emotions. That would just be so satisfying, and it's a great way to challenge your body and also your mind. I don't know, kickboxing just seems really awesome. I feel like I should look into doing some kickboxing classes. The next question is, do you plan to move anytime soon? I don't have any set plans to move right now, but I am definitely at a place in my life where I'm feeling very ready and excited to move to a different place and move away from home and experience new things and be a bit more independent. Although I love my family and my parents and they provide a wonderful home for me to live in, I am feeling really excited to start creating my own life for myself and building my own future, I guess. The next question is, do you ever see yourself moving to another country, city, or state? I absolutely see myself moving to another country, city, or state. I've always wanted to travel. I've always been really passionate about experiencing different cultures, and there is that explorer in me that is just dying to go on adventures and dying to discover new lands and to experience new things. The next question I love so much, and it is, how does it feel being able to connect with so many different people? It feels absolutely incredible, and it's something that I'm so grateful for every single day. The main reason why I always wanted to be a writer and an illustrator was to be able to connect with people and to do what writers and illustrators did for me, which is to just provide comfort and provide joy and to create a world, create people, create different things, create art. I've always wanted to connect with people through the act of creation. But what is so fantastic is that I never saw myself being able to do that through a medium of YouTube and creating videos and content creation, and I am just so incredibly lucky and honored and grateful every day that there are people out there in the world that care enough to ask me these questions and that like my artwork enough to purchase it and support me creatively. And whenever I say this, I cannot mean it more than I already do, that you guys are the reason I'm here. You guys are the reason that I'm able to try my hardest to work on this book and to give the world my story and to give the world art and be able to be freelance. So I just appreciate each and every one of you so much, and I love hearing from you. That is my number one favorite thing, and that's why I make videos, is to be able to connect with you guys and to share my passion and to have that passion reciprocated from you. I love not only talking about my favorite books, but hearing what your favorite books are, so I can not only connect with people through creating stories and illustrations myself, but I can connect with people through the stories and writing that other people have created, and I think that that's just one of the most beautiful things. This next question I thought was so funny, but I understand where you're coming from. The question is, are you married? with 2 question marks because I heard you say sister/brother-in-law and was very confused. I understand where you're coming from because I have mentioned my sister and my brother-in-law in my videos before. That is because my sister got married in July of 2022, this past July, to my brother-in-law. So it's my sister's husband. So no, I am not married, but my sister is, and they are wonderful. And the next question is, do I have a boyfriend? I can very happily say that I do have a boyfriend, and he is quite simply the best. I do want to keep that part of my life private, but what I can say is that he makes me extremely happy. I think I make him also extremely happy. But yes, we are very happy together, and he's great, and I am very, very lucky. Very, very lucky. The next question is, what is the best written book you've ever read, specifically referring to the words and language? I think the most beautiful book I've ever read is probably Yevgeny Onegin by Alexander Pushkin. Recently, a few of you guys have talked about the fact that I pronounce his name Yevgeny and not Eugene. Yevgeny is the Russian pronunciation, I believe, and Eugene is the English pronunciation, but I always say Yevgeny, so Yevgeny Onegin. Those words just bloom like beautiful flowers on every page, and it is just some of the most beautiful writing I have ever read and I have ever witnessed. And if you want beautiful, lyrical, gorgeous, flowery writing, Yevgeny Onegin might be the book for you. The next question is, what kinds of classes did you take at uni for illustration, and what were your favorite and least favorite? I really loved all of my illustration classes. I also really loved all of my writing classes as well, but this question is specifically about illustration classes. I would have to say my least favorite illustration class was probably my animation class, because I am not an animator. Animators, I give them so much credit. My brain is just not built as an animator's brain. I wish it was, because animators are incredibly talented, but that class was just a ton of work, and work that I just honestly didn't enjoy very much because I just am not an animator. It was a required class to figure out if you wanted to go into animation or not. And I figured out that I did not want to go into animation. So I did enjoy the class. Like, looking back on it, I feel like I'm glad that I took it, and I'm glad for the experience because it did teach me quite a lot about character design and turnarounds and walk cycles and creating scenery and different things and different aspects of animation. But just the process of actually taking the class, I dreaded going to that class. My professor also never taught people that weren't in animation because it was just illustration students doing 2D animation for the first time. He was teaching us at a higher level than where we were at. So that just wasn't very fun. And then my favorite class was my painting class in my last semester, and that is the class that I painted the red rabbit in. If you guys know my red rabbit painting, I loved that class so much. I loved my professor so much. His name is Cam Mack, and he is incredibly talented. It was actually all online because of COVID, but even though the class was online, he just is an amazing teacher, and I loved that class so much. And I think it was because I loved the process of doing my red rabbit painting. And if you would like to watch me paint the red rabbit, I actually filmed myself paint the red rabbit during my entire semester. So I was at home, I was painting at home, and I just filmed the whole thing even while I was in my classes. When I was editing the footage, I had to get rid of all of the audio because you could hear my professor and my classmates on my computer. Obviously I didn't get them in the shot. It will always be a really fond memory, and I love that process video because I'm just really proud of it, and also I loved the painting process of painting my red rabbit, so that's definitely my favorite class. And the next question relates to that one. Were you able to see your painting at the gallery? So if you guys don't know, I actually won first place for this painting for the student scholarship competition that the Society of Illustrators hosts every year, and I won it last year, and I could not believe that I won it. I did end up going to see it at the Society of Illustrators, so it was on display. I had to get it framed and matted, and now it's home with me, but I did see it in the gallery, and it was such a surreal experience because I would go to this gallery all the time for school field trips to see famous illustration work. My favorite exhibition that they always had was the editorial book design showing, and it would have all of the amazing book cover art. To be able to see my painting in the Society of Illustrators after having seen so much amazing published artwork and famous artwork, it was just so surreal, and an experience that I don't think I'll ever fully comprehend. Like, it never actually felt real. Like, even when I was there looking at the piece, it just didn't really feel real. So yeah. But I did get to see it, and it was amazing. The next question is, besides fiction, what genre would you like to publish a book in? So besides fiction, because the book that I'm currently writing is fiction, I have always loved writing poetry. Also took a lot of poetry classes when I was in college at FIT. Because I did a minor in writing, some of my writing classes, not only was it creative writing for short fiction and long fiction, but also for poetry. I took a lot of poetry writing classes, and also I studied a lot of poetry as well. So I've always been interested in writing poetry. I've always loved writing poetry. I actually have a whole journal filled with my own typewritten, I have my grandmother's old typewriter, and I used to write or typewrite my poems and paste them into this one journal. So I have a whole journal filled with my typewritten poems. Some of them are very overdramatic. Some of them I'm actually really proud of. Other ones will never see the light of day. But I would love to eventually write and maybe illustrate a poetry collection. I feel like that would be quite lovely. Something that I've always sort of subconsciously have wanted to do but have never thought too deeply about, because fiction has always been my main goal. But yeah, I would love to write a poetry collection and illustrate a poetry collection. This next question I think is great. It says, as an artist, do you think an art degree is worth it? I absolutely think an art degree is worth it because I learned so much going through the experience of getting a degree in the arts and going to art school. Do I think it's necessary for you to become an artist? I really don't think so. I think that it's beneficial, but it's not 100% essential. It's not necessary. It's not like you can't become an illustrator if you don't go to art school, if you don't get a degree in the arts. I do think it will, of course, help benefit your skill, but I don't think it is a necessity. I do feel like as an artist, your portfolio and your skill and your concepts and your ideas are really the things that are going to sell you to prospective clients and writers and publishers and art directors and editors and agents. So would I recommend going to art school and getting an art degree? Absolutely, because I think it can be nothing but beneficial. But do I think that it's entirely necessary for you to be a successful artist and illustrator? No, I think many successful artists and illustrators never went to school or never went to school to get an art degree. I do think it is very beneficial, and I'm glad that I did it. I mean, this is just my opinion, but I don't think it's 100% a necessity. Okay, we have made it to the last question. I haven't answered all of the questions that I received, because if I did, we would be here forever. But the last question that I'm going to answer for this video is, do you still draw in your free time, or does your job take up most of your artistic creativity? Because I'm a freelance illustrator, it's very hard for me to separate my free drawing time to my work drawing time, and from my regular free time to my regular work time, because I'm always surrounded by my work. And the way that my brain works is I'm constantly thinking about story ideas, video ideas, books I'm reading, books I'm trying to write. When I'm not working on something, I'm consuming some kind of research, whether it's listening to a podcast on writing, listening to videos of my favorite illustrators. Like yesterday I was listening to Neil Gaiman talk about writing, and then I was also watching Chris Riddell because I finished Neverwhere. I was doing particularly research on Neil Gaiman and Chris Riddell, but then I was watching a bunch of videos of Chris Riddell illustrating, and then I started illustrating along with Chris Riddell, and I was learning about his techniques, and so even when I'm not necessarily working, I'm working. I think the only free time I really feel like I have is when I'm not home, although I do try very hard every day to separate a certain amount of time for exercising and walking and cooking and trying a new recipe and doing things that don't necessarily need my brain power, or at least need my creative brain power. I feel like 90% of my brain, even 95% of my brain, is just creativity. It's just like creative pursuits. And the other 5 to 10% is just trying to go about life and trying to do regular daily tasks. So that's just how my brain works. I love being that way. I don't know how else to be. And so I think I function pretty well. But to answer your question quite simply, do you still draw in your free time? Yes and no, because even if I'm just drawing a doodle, I feel like I am still working on my skill. So what do you classify or define work as? That's the question. Anyway, that is a whole big ramble on a whole lot of different things, or should I say a soliloquy on a whole lot of different things, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope maybe you learned. I mean, I'm sure if you listened to any or all of this, you learned a little bit more about me, and I would love to know a little bit more about you. So like I said in this video, I not only love creating videos for my own enjoyment, because I do love doing it, but I also love the connection that I'm able to make with you guys. So I would love to hear maybe 3 facts about you, or if you want to answer any of these questions, if any of them apply to you. I feel like my voice is completely dying. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for 50,000 plus subscribers. You all mean the world to me. I am so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that we have been able to connect on here and can share our passions. I'm sending you all a million hugs, and I wish you the very best, and I will see you soon in another video. Happy reading.